times are certainly tough, and only getting tougher for the many. But at the same time, this is an era of ever greater lavishness for the few at the top, as more of the nation's and the world's wealth is trapped in the upper ionosphere of the economy, where its effects are negligible. I am undoubtedly speaking of the stock markets and banks. I'm not saying that they are bad. That reflection has no bearing whatsoever. It's only that most of the monies that they hold never reach the ground. They are not physical investments in the land and or the people of the United States. They are merely invested in the companies of America. But as those dollars aren't used any longer for research and development, or new processes, products, or infrastructure, which is unlike corporate utilization of investor dollars prior to 1980. The modern corporation uses those invested funds to increase productivity, streamline, reduce product in any combination of means and measures, all to pay shareholders and CEOs for a bullish good time. Consequently, this occurred at a time of great technological expansion in conjunction with globalization, which has increased job obsolescence in an accelerated fashion.
Yes, but it's important to look on the bright side that this technology also brought wonderful innovation and everything to education, which is what is going to save us.
Maybe.
Education has been proposed for decades as a counter to this trend. At the beginning, 40 years ago.
But somehow, we haven't been utilizing any of these advances to shape an American future fair to all of us. Why, instead, are we attacking education?
Educational attainment has been the most critical determinant of demographic most adversely affected in this most recent downturn.
What is wrong with our schools is that they are underfunded to counteract the poverty that has been allowed to overflow into them. Education is the old battered pan thrown under the roof leak. All of our systems are underfunded to deal with poverty, and poverty is quite popular if you haven't heard. And this is where we have gone amiss in our current social construct, evident as it has created this disparity in income and wealth, stagnation of wages, volatile boom and bust cycles in the markets, and of course, the consequent destruction of America's middle class. This is the same middle class that all of the politicians are continually referring to. Each soundbite is a snide little joke, compliments of our corporate-run government and media. Chomsky said it best in 1991. There are growing domestic, social, and economic problems. In fact, maybe catastrophes. Nobody in power has any intention of doing anything about them. There's really no serious proposal about what to do about the severe problems of health, education, homelessness, joblessness, crime, soaring criminal populations, jails, deterioration of the inner cities. See, the money has to come from where it is trapped, from the rich. Either in taxes or donations, the money has to get down to the ground. Hopefully this recent flurry of, exposure with the Occupy movement, maybe our leaders will start to speak in terms of the 99%. Though, I know that from their lips will come lies and misgivings, no doubt. In closing, I will direct this message to those who own those who we've elected. Dear 1%, and some of you 2%ers, and probably down to the 5%ers, I know, or at least pray, that you all are not greedy, selfish, oblivious, or corrupt. But the fundamental problem in facing the task of dealing with this mess is up to you as much as anybody. Why have you given up on the dream for others? Ultimately, you control the media. You control the government. You control what they talk about. You do realize that money is something that's a finite resource, right? A shit pile of money doesn't just magically grow like a Harry Potter visual effect in your coffers. There's only so much money, and it comes from other people.
I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt this letter here because I think that this letter actually doesn't need to go to the 1% because I believe that most of them are dissatisfied with the way things is going too. Because it's all gonna come down with these bone brains, these idiot bone brains that we got in there. Performing a shoddy sham of a production like the WWF, except you're like taking chairs, all this bravado and all this crap going on, but nothing really happening. But, the American people are the ones getting smacked with the chair. The few times the calling out of the sacking of America's middle class has been addressed by our political leaders in disfavorable fashion every single time. Is it any wonder? Who gives them their money? Who writes the laws for them? But you know what? Now is a crucial moment. As soon as possible is when these corporatists would like to see the Occupy movement dissipate. They will do all they can to discredit the ideas that we all should have shared in the prosperity that rose out of the past 40 years. Instead, those at the top rigged the game to take more of the pie, and the rest of us have slowly given more and more and more. So if I'm right, and you want to see change, and you want to help others less fortunate than you, what can you do if you agree, and you've already called your representatives? Go to the park, go to the pavilion or the square to join the others. Demand higher taxes, or get a phone book and just start writing checks. Hell, write me a check. I assure you, I will put all of it directly back into the American economy.
How can we recapture control of our government from the clutches of greed?